Hello everyone, Lonnie Payne here with another virtual pinball video. If you're ready, let's go.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games.
I've had several people reach out and ask me kind of specific questions about how I installed the TVs in my virtual pinball machine. And I'm getting ready to upgrade my memory from 8 gig to 16 gig. And I thought since I got to take the thing apart to get to the computer, I'd go ahead and create another video on how I do all that. In this video, I'm going to take the TV out and I'm going to show some of the stuff on the inside. I do have another video that talks about the inside of my machine, and I'm going to cover some of that material again, so some of you that have watched that video, you can fast forward that. But there's a lot of information that is in that video that I'm not going to cover, so I'll leave a link below if you want to see some more detailed information on some of the other components. This one is mainly dealing with the TVs and how I mounted them and the design I used for it. Hope you enjoy it. Let's go. All right, right now the glass is on. I'm going to take all this stuff off in a second. But just to point out a few features, the way I've got the TVs mounted, you know, a lot of people ask about the cutouts here, and I'll show you those in a second, but that allows you to use a bigger TV going into the edges so it actually goes up a longer distance. And the same thing with the TV on the side. The TV is flush mounted with the outside of the box, which allows me to put a bigger TV in there, which gives me more viewable area to the top. And the bottom of that TV is right on the edge of this plastic lift channel. So it goes all the way to that lift channel. The TV that's in the back has not been decased. With some of these newer TVs, they have such a small case that you don't have to take the case off of them. The playfield one actually had to take it off because of the way the bottom was built, so you could put the feed into it. It was going to be too big, so that's why I took it off. But the top one was just a normal TV, hadn't been touched. It's got such a small rim along the edge. And because I used the wider TV, this is the only area that's not viewable, about 1.5 inches. So I mean, I almost have the full back box viewable area. So I just wanted the most similar to a real pinball machine with viewable area. You can put a TV inside the case, but you're gonna sacrifice viewable area. So I would rather lose a little bit on the edge, and the playfield actually can squeeze it. And I'll put another video out there on how to set up the games using this kind of a system. But I'll go ahead and the glass comes off just like a normal pinball machine. Got the lockdown bar, has a button in it just like a lot of the new machines. So I went ahead and added that, and that's also how you select the table, and you can fire the ball that way as well. And so here's that switch, protected from the metal. Of course, it's powder coated. And because this TV is so wide, it's 43 inch, it goes all the way up to the edge of the glass. So the viewable area goes all the way up. Put a smaller TV in there, and you only go up this far or something. And so that's why I did what I did. There's been several people ask me, why doesn't the TV come all the way down? And you just have to decide what's important to you. For me, I don't really care what's on the apron. And so what I did was I wanted the playable area to be almost exactly like the size of the pinball machine. So what I did was I took several machines and I measured the distance from the front of the lockdown bar to where the flippers were. And when I was deciding where I wanted to go, when you put the screen in there like that, all the aprons have this little curved area right here. If you put the bottom of that curve right there on the tip of this piece of wood, or my new apron, the flippers are always exactly where they should be. If you had all the aprons showing on something like this, your flippers are going to be a little bit higher. So once again, I wanted to make it as real as possible, so that's the way I decided to do it. And I'll show that in my setup video. But then when you want to take the TV out, it's not that complicated, and I'll show you. And I've already taken the sides off of here just for the sake of time. Alright, so underneath this piece of wood you can see there's a groove cut out. I used a router groove it out, and so that's what fits over the edge of this screen that's slightly outside of the box here. All right, so you can see there's a little bit of the TV sticking out on both sides, and on the back that's actually flush, and this one only needed to be cut exactly the size of the edge, but this one had to be cut a little bit thicker, and the reason is the back of the TV starts to angle, so obviously you have to put it in at an angle, shove it in further one side, push the other side in, and then center it. So this side had to be bigger, and then that's where the spacer comes. Put the TV back exactly where it needs to be before you put the side channel back on. And I'm not going to take out the upper monitor. I just wanted to show you how it's mounted and how I did what I did. And the same thing goes for the side monitor here. Try and get a light so you can see this a little better. So you can see that it's actually flush against the top of the cut, but the bottom of the cut actually has space, and there's a bracket on the inside that actually holds that TV up. But once again, it angles on the inside, so when I put the TV in, it has to be able to come out this side a little bit, so I had to make the cut bigger. And when I take the TV out, you'll actually see that. And this side, there's a little white bracket that I put on that I'll show you on the TV. It's just to cover some of the electronics and give it a good base to sit on. But once again, once I get that out, you'll be able to see a little bit better on what that looks like. Now to get the main TV out, I've already unhooked the power and the power button on the inside. The HDMI is still hooked up because it sits above the computer. All I have to do is remove this panel and this back panel. Just 2 screws here, and there's 5 screws across the front. I'm not going to bore you with that, but they're just cosmetic, and I used a flat paint so they hopefully don't reflect light too much. All right, try and show you a couple things here. I've got these 2 brackets on each side, one here and one here. They got 2 screws on, and one at the bottom kind of makes a hinge, and the top one is the one that fastened. So I'm going to undo those and pull them things back. And what those do, those just basically hold the TV really tight where it is. So I'll pull each one of those back. And also I had to take the sensor off for the plunger because it sits under the table, and the TV is going to have to drop down. So I have to pull that back, get it out of the way. And then here's the bar I was mentioning a little bit earlier. See the long bar there? And I'll show that to you once again, but I'm going to take the screw off on the front. It'll drop down, and that's what allow that TV to come off and be able to be pulled out. And then I'll show you what that bar does when you get the TV out. A little bit easier to understand. All right, you can see these are laid back now, and I'll undo this one. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen or not, but when I get this one undone and lower this piece of wood, you'll actually see that corner of the TV kind of sink down, because this is, like I said, this is what's supporting it at this point. Alright, so it didn't come down much, but so now the TV is completely done and ready to come out, and you can actually see the bottom part of the DVD there. And the only reason I really had to move this is just so I can have a good grip at it. But what we're going to do, we're going to shove the TV this way, then that'll allow this to come up this side. We can pull it up. And then I'm going to have to unhook the HDMI cable. It's a pretty tight fit, but I wanted the clearances tight. Thumbs up. There we go. All right, I know I've talked about a lot of this on a previous video, but in case you haven't seen it, I'll just go ahead and run through the inside of this, the way I set it up. And just remember, guys, when I built this thing, I kind of did it on the fly. So as I was building it and I wanted to do something, I would make it work and keep going. I'd never built one before, so some of the things like the screen, I just kind of did that on the fly because I wanted to use a bigger screen, and I just had to figure out how I wanted to do it. So, you know, there's many ways to do this, so this isn't the only way. This is the way I did it, so I'll just, share it with you. If you like the idea, it's fine. If not, if you got something better, hey, show me in the comments. I'm always looking to improve everything. But I've got the power coming out of here into a surge protector, and then everything that's, plugged in there. This is the little amp, and it's got a subwoofer output, so I've got this thing hooked to a sub. And then for the LED lights and the buttons and stuff, I've got this little converter here that converts it so I can use it for AC, and it's got a little voltage adapter on there, so you can change the voltage to exactly your 6.3 volts, whatever you want to do. And then this TV, the big one I have here, is not one of those TVs that comes on when the power comes on. The back box does, the LCD does, but this one does not. So I had to come up with something. So I'll show you here. On the back of the TV, you see this cord right here. This is the power button. You got the little circuit board that's in the case. That's the power button. So it hooks right here to this delay timer. Okay, so how this works is like I said, these are the power button wires, and right now it's open. So I'm going to turn the power on. You see the board power up, and a couple seconds later you'll see a little blue light come on, which indicates it's closed to push this button. So instead of having to get the remote out every time, it's just like a regular machine. When you turn it on, after a couple seconds, that's going to power up. So here we go. So there's a red light saying it's active. Then there's the little button push. So now that TV would power up. So that's just one of the things, like I said, I had to kind of come on the fly with because it wasn't working, so I figured that out. These little things are a couple bucks on eBay, but come in pretty handy. I use them on quite a few machines to turn backlighting off when the flippers are active and things like that, so you don't get the reflections off the glass. I think Stern stole my idea, so I'm good with that. All right, so while I have it on, so you can see, and sometimes you gotta adjust these a little bit, and actually the light will change, so you can try and get it exactly where you want to get it. But that powers the little LEDs on the side and everything. And like I said, there's your amp. And this is the virtual pin controller. And it's got 16 inputs. So that's for the flippers and everything. When I wired it, I decided to use a common ground, so everything comes back to ground here. So here's the little pinball shroud that goes over the plunger, and that allows you to actually plunge just like a real game to where you can modulate it. And it also has an accelerometer, so you can actually move the game and adjust the ball. And because of that, solid state drive, better performance. And I actually have this sitting on I know you probably can't see, but it's a little layer of foam. So when you are shaking the machine, it's not really jolting. It's just kind of, gives it a little bit of absorption there. I've got the second power supply in there to power the video card. It's a pretty small power supply that I was using. So it allows me to power the video card and not tax that. If you have a bigger power supply, obviously you wouldn't have to use that, but that's just kind of one of those on the fly. I needed something different, so I went ahead and decided to do it that way. You can see the little plug going through, and that's really all that's doing. And I normally don't have this machine on the internet. I just don't really need it. But I've got an extension coming up here, so if I do need to put a new game on or something, I can put it on a USB, pop it in here, goes in the computer. If I do need the internet, I've got one of these little dongles, put it in there, and I can get on the internet, do something if I need to. Use a wireless keyboard and stuff, just set it there, everything works good. Like I said, here's the switch for the lockdown bar. And all these buttons work just exactly like they're supposed to, programmed in virtual pin to volume up, volume down adjustments. So, it runs just like a normal pin. When you need to adjust it, you open the coin door, you start adjusting volume, and it switches. That's one thing I like about that virtual pin controller. It allows you to do everything just like a real pinball machine. You don't have to get the keyboard out for anything. I've got a button on the bottom. You can see it right here. And that's how I shut things down, so anybody that's playing can't accidentally hit the wrong button and shut it down. I've got the dual flipper buttons for some games, and I've actually got a headphone jack right here, so I can put some headphones, plug them in the bottom, get super sound out of it. Here's that bar I was talking about. When you shove the TV in and get it in position, then as this thing comes up and fastens right there, this is what it's actually going to sit on. That's why there's a little bit of gap on this point, but this point had to be angled like this so the TV would actually fit. And like I said, that's why it's got extra on this side too, because you saw how I had to shove the TV over and then pull it up. The same thing. This one you would slide it over this way, pull this side out, and then take the TV out. And so that's why this side has to be a little bit bigger. But like I said, because you got the bigger TV in there, it's taller, more viewable area. All right, just take a little bit look at the TV here. This is actually the bottom of the TV if you're looking at a regular TV. And then this would have been the top of the TV. And this is the side that's going over to the big cutout, and you can see how it starts to angle right there, so the TV gets thicker. And that's why I had to take the case off, because the case was even worse, so I would have had to make the hole bigger. So that's why that hole in the side of the cabinet is bigger, and the bottom is cut at a 45-degree angle, so I can get this TV in there without having a huge cut. And then this was the bottom of the TV, and when I decased it, there's a little circuit board kind of runs across the bottom there. You kind of see it there. So obviously I didn't want that sitting on anything. So this just happened to be a piece of metal that I had left over from another installation. It's powder coated. And when I put it in there, I mean, it fit. It's like it was made for it. So I put it under the case here, the front case, and it's just held on by these couple screws and inside this little panel here. And it sits right on the edge of my cut. I mean, it's a perfect way to protect it and give it a good base to sit on, and it works out pretty good. So that's the TV, and that's why I had to decase it. Like you said, if you buy a TV that has a different edge setting and you can cut your cabinet if you want or do something different, you don't have to decase them. Like I said, the back box isn't, but this one, because of the way it fit, I had to. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it worked out and how it fits. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. I just wanted to answer some of the questions. I've had several people contact me about the design of the machine, so I figured I would just create a video to show my ideas. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of ways to do things, and I kind of designed this thing on the fly, so the solutions I came up work for me, but there may be better ways to do it, and I'm all about that. If you have any good ideas, leave them in the comments. Maybe other people can get some ideas from the things that you guys have come up with. But if you like what you saw, please like, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.